back for our men's edition of the SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. Joe Pod back at Global Brew with our Cougar men's basketball head coach. That is Brian Baroni. And Coach, a split weekend, 1-1 in Edwardsville this past week. Thursday against Little Rock. There's a lot of things that fascinate me about this game, and we talked a little bit about it before the game on Saturday. So many late game situations came up in that game. It was not a game that if you just looked at the stat sheet that you would say, boy, SIUE just played a fantastic game. But what you did were some smart things, and again, especially late in the game, that allowed you to get that win.
Yeah, it was good to see. One of the things that we do usually, especially in the early part of our practice season, every water break we do a special situation. So it's just 2 minutes, a couple things that we just kind of make up. You got 2 seconds, you got 3 seconds. You might have, a minute, you're up one. We do it probably 2 or 3 times a practice for about 30 or 40 practices before the season starts. None of those scenarios were necessarily what I did that came up against Little Rock, but these guys, through all their experience and through their on-court communication, really I thought translated some of the things that they've experienced over their last few years and implemented it really, really well.
How much of when you're going through the late game situations, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what happens, right? But it's a thinking on your feet, it's making those decisions in a stressful time that you're trying to run through as well, correct?
Yeah, it's about, certainly I was talking with the guys today about toughness, and toughness is just doing the right thing consistently. You make a mistake, but what are you supposed to do? Toughness isn't necessarily taking a charge. I mean, that is one part of it, but it's also you make a mistake, how do you react to that mistake, or how do you, calm your nerves through a big play where you tie the game, and then you have to go get a stop. So there's a lot of scenarios that came up at the end of that game. Some of them came up at the end of the half, where we fouled at the end of the game to take time off the clock. We actually could have done it at halftime as well. Now, I don't like doing it at halftime for a variety of reasons, but they were thinking about that, and there was a conversation about that. We should have fouled going into halftime instead of giving up the 3. And it was funny, about 45 an hour later, it all came back to fruition.
And there were things like, DeMarco Minor waiting 2 or 3 seconds before fouling, which you had a foul to give, but also smart enough to take time off the clock.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about it. Like prior to they had a turnover with about 8.5 seconds. Prior to that, we didn't have a timeout. We had timeouts, but the ball got entered. They went down there, and I think Ray or Polo fouled. We had 3 or 4 fouls left to give, so that gave us an opportunity for now a sideline out of bounds coming out of a timeout, which we got a 5-second call.
5 seconds, yep.
So that led us, we were up by 1. Now we get a 5-second call because they have a sideline out of bounds. But the players decided to do that through their experience and IQ, which I was really excited to see. And then we go down and make 1 free throw, and it ends up being a 2-point game, more time off the clock, and then we ended up winning the game.
Another great crowd. The atmosphere is electric inside First Community Arena.
It's every day you go out there. It's just it's. I'll go home at night afterwards, and my wife and kids, and we really appreciate the growth over these years. We appreciate the conversations that you have around the community, and just the excitement and the people that really helped us. Like I think Shamar said, like the hair was standing up on my arm. Is the loudest that it's been. Had they all not been in there, I wouldn't have been a little short on that shot. They gave me a little extra. So let's keep bringing everybody everywhere.
That's
so
right.
Shamar will follow through. But that's real stuff. I mean, this community, it's special. I mean, it's just you just know you're really lucky when you're out there in front of everybody.
Saturday obviously did not go the way that you would like. Just an absolute tale of 2 halves. A very tough start, a very tough first half. When you went in at halftime and you're down big, what's that conversation like?
Oh, you can ask Des. It was very nice.
Right, I'm sure.
Very calm.
Very calm.
Hey guys, let's do better. All right. With a lot of stuff in between.
Right.
Part of the frustration with that half was we just have a standard and expectation for ourselves. And Martin made shots. They made tough shots. They made open shots, and we missed some open shots. And then we started taking some tough shots. And we know that's not what we needed to do to win the game. There wasn't like finger pointing. There wasn't a disconnect in any way. It was more like, all right, we have to figure out how to get this back to a potential winnable game. And actually, I think there's about a minute or so left, and we missed it 3 to cut it to 6, I think is what it was, or 7, after really struggling. It wasn't a game that we want to have again, obviously, but I do think how we reacted even today and coming out that second half for the most part was something that we can hang our hat on in terms of that's not who we are. We're not going to allow this to continue to happen, and we lost the game. There's no excuse on how we performed in that first half.
59 points in the second half was it's the most points that this team, this program has scored since I think 2009 as we looked it up, and you kind of said so, but you can take a little bit of that positive, right, moving forward, as long as you're learning from what led to that, right?
Yeah, I think that we had 14 or 15 assists in the second half.
Yeah.
The ball was moving. Someone just said the other day, hey, you guys didn't. There was their night. It was a nice way of saying you guys lost, but you tried hard. And I'm like, okay, that's But I understood what they were saying. I expect that fight with our guys.
Right.
We have a group of guys that aren't going to shut it down by any means, and they bought into each other. Still didn't guard the way we needed to. Had we guarded the way we needed to, we're probably right there the second half. But when you let another team who's talented kind of get going, it's hard to slow them down. But yeah, our guys, we did some really good things in that second half, but we'll learn from that second half, and let's not do that again. That's kind of our mindset.
Tough week to come. We'll get into that in our third segment. Coach, appreciate time here, and we'll get talking to Des Polk on the other side of our break.
Sounds good.
Desmond Polk coming up right after this.
Immerse yourself in academic excellence. Take comfort in welcome surroundings. Revel in exhilarating events. Discover invaluable educational experiences at a value rivaled by few. Southern Illinois University Edwardsville. The right place, the right people, so you can own tomorrow. Take your first steps to a promising future at SIUE.
Get right into segment number 2 here with Desmond Polk. Des, a fourth-year player out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's weird, like normally you would say senior, but like now with everybody getting different years of eligibility, we'll say fourth-year player. You came to SIUE out of Link Year Prep in Branson, which is also where the Twins came from. What was it about SIUE? What brought you here?
Really, when Coach Baroni recruited me, he was real straightforward with me. He was saying that I was a very versatile guy that we could use, and he basically was saying that this program was going to take a huge turn with all the guys that he was recruiting and everybody that he was bringing in. So, once you hear that as a player, that you can be a part of something huge, I mean, why wouldn't you want to step into it?
Yeah, I think that there's a leap of faith aspect there, obviously, from a program that frankly hadn't had a lot of success. Success here and there, certainly not any sustained success, I would say. So, like I said, I feel like it's a leap of faith there. But so you've been in the program 4 years. Playing time has increased, minutes have increased, production has increased. One of the things when I've talked to Coach, he mentions, last year you missed some time with the injury, and he said, I don't think people realize how much that took from us. Even though if you look, you're like, oh, well, maybe it's not necessarily a starter. That has to feel good when Coach is talking about a guy like you being that that glue guy, or being a guy that is an important part of this team.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely something important to hear because, as a player, you always kind of want that feeling that,
sure,
you're big and a part of something huge. So when you hear that, it gives you a little boost, and it makes you want to speed up your recovery to get back on the court as soon as possible.
How nice has it been? How much of a luxury has it been for you to have been here so long with the twins, with Rayshawn? The last couple of years with Polo, it's a very veteran group that you don't see these days in college basketball.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that, I mean, like we say all the time, and Coach Baroni says, we've built a relationship to where we're probably going to be in each other's weddings, we're probably going to be saying, hey, I'm having a kid, So that relationship that we have built is not just a team, it's a brotherhood, it's a family that, you see it on the court. When one of us go down, we're all running over to pick them up. If somebody misses a shot, they have their head down, we tell them, pick your head up, shoot the next shot. So it's a big family that we've built, over the years.
That makes a difference when you get into a game like Thursday against Little Rock, right? Where, by the way, if you didn't realize, Des hit the three to get the team within 3 and then to tie the game all within the last 2 minutes of that game. Exactly. I think that's worth the applause. But when you've got that kind of bond, you've got that kind of connection, you have a little bit more confidence stepping into one of those, right?
100%. When Polo passed me the ball, he gave me the look to shoot the ball. And knowing Polo, if you see him play, he plays with a lot of aggression. So I think if I didn't take that shot, we probably would have heard some words from him. But, it's definitely a confidence booster having guys like that around me. When you pass the ball, you miss a couple shots, early, you get that redemption shot, and I took full advantage of it.
I was talking to Coach, but I felt like that energy and that crowd on Thursday night was among the best feelings the energy in there that I felt in a while.
100%. That was the loudest I have heard that gym get, and since I've been here, honestly, that was the loudest I've heard it get. So that was one for the books.
Which is funny because you hear a lot of players, I don't even hear it, I tune it out, but not so, huh?
No. That moment, you couldn't do it if you tried. You couldn't do it if you tried.
You have specifically stepped it up even more, I would say, since the game at Little Rock, which was back on January 4th. Since that time, 8.6 points per game, shooting 48% from three-point range. What changed? What clicked? What's making you feel as good as you seem to right now?
Really, it's just been a situation where we've had, unfortunately, we've had Arnie go down, we've had Terrence go down, so it was just more of a stepping up and being ready, throughout the entire summer break. The season before, I had a really rough year shooting the ball, so I took that full advantage of the summer shooting the ball, and the work is shown and it's paid off.
Okay, so you talk about, you talked specifically about the couple of injuries, so you've moved into the starting lineup the last 3. Any program are always going to talk about that next man up theory, that next man up philosophy. But your team, the whole group has taken it to heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%, Obviously, we all have a big goal, and that's bringing back a championship here. So you can't step up short, of the opportunity that presents itself. And that was one thing that obviously presented itself to me, and I had to step into that role and do whatever was needed.
All right, so you've been here now, as we mentioned, this is year number 4. So for you, in your time, all the places that you've had a chance to play, what's a favorite arena or a favorite game that you've played in?
Like ever, high school?
No, I'm talking 4 years here, yep.
4 years here? It has to be that Little Rock game, honestly. Just the crowd, how everybody was into it. You can't beat the atmosphere like that. That's what kids dream of when you're playing basketball. You want to hit that big shot, you want to hear the crowd screaming, you want everybody to be all into it. So it's 100% that Little Rock game.
Would that be best basketball moment, period?
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. Wow.
100%.
Wow, says a lot for the crowd that was here this week. You have a tough week ahead of you. Morehead State, obviously the league leaders. You guys were so good against Morehead State in that Saturday morning game here in Edwardsville. What did you do, and what can you take from that game?
Honestly, going back and watching the film, we just have to continue to guard. Morehead is a very well coached team. They run a lot of offensive sets, and if they hit a shot, we can't hold our heads down and dwell on it. We have to just keep moving forward and keep guarding. I feel like if you go back and look at that game, that was something that we did. We kept defending, guarding, no matter what happened. Turnover, missed shot, they made a shot. We kept guarding, and I think it was probably the last 3-minute stretch, we guarded so well they didn't score again the rest of the game. So we have to bring that same mentality and that same grit to the next game.
When you face both of these teams, obviously, you've already beaten them. There's a little bit extra motivation, I guess, for that team when you're facing a team like that. How do you guard against that, or how do you protect against them coming out basically with a chip on their shoulder?
Well, I mean, 100%. When we step into these next 2 games, they're gonna try to punch us early.
Yep.
And try to make us fall back on our heels. But I mean, with that, we just have to really just step up and lock into personnel, knowing who's who, what's going to happen, our rotations, and everything else will just fall into place.
Des, it's been a pleasure for me all 4 years. I appreciate you coming out tonight. I look forward to not just this week, but a really strong end to your season. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Desmond Polk with us here tonight. 4th-year player out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Cougars head coach, Brian Baroni, is coming up next. Final segment here of our SIUE Basketball Coaches Show. As always, thanks to Urban Chestnut Brewing Company, our presenting sponsor. We appreciate that. We love being here at Global Brew on Monday nights. We're glad to have the crowd we've got out tonight as we talk some Cougar basketball. And Brian Baroni joins me again here as we get set for a week on the road, which it really feels like it's been a while since this team has been on the road. And obviously that's going to change. It's going to change quickly. It's going to change a lot. But let's talk about a little bit about facing these 2 teams that both lost games here in Edwardsville, and specifically the league leader in Morehead State. Certainly they're not going to be happy about having already lost that game now that you're back at their place. What can you do to, as Des just said, kind of take that punch in the mouth?
I just think that we have to go down there and stick to what we are, what we do, and I think that that's going to be good enough because I think that we have the ability to go take it on the road and beat them. We just have to go out there and stay focused on the team ball, the team concept, offensively and defensively, and then be willing to step up and knock down a big shot. I mean, Des is a good example. I mean, he hit three really big threes against Little Rock, made some really big plays, even on that 5-second call on the base on the out of bounds at the Little Rock game as well. And I think that you have to be willing to go take and make a shot on the road, and until that shot happens, we have to make sure that we're guarding them pretty consistently. And I think that's what ultimately, we've had some success down at Morehead. Last year I thought we let one get away. A few years back we had won. We just have to do what we're capable of doing.
That's something that you and I talk about a lot, something that you say to me, it's whichever team does what it does best. And Morehead is one of those teams that as Des pointed out as well, they're going to run their offensive sets. They're going to run what they run. And if you can guard them, we've already seen what happens. We saw it on January 13th in Edwardsville.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, we have to do a good job in transition defense as well. I think they had 48 points at our place, and they missed some open shots that I wouldn't anticipate them, always missing, but their open shots weren't consistent. They were, when they finally got an open shot, they had a hand up, or had some physicality leading up to that for 3, 4, 5 possessions. So there was probably a little bit more of a need in their mind to make this shot because I'm finally open. I think that that's what we ultimately have to translate and bring. We have a group of guys that we're excited to. You can really grow closer on the road because you're around each other quite a bit. So we're looking forward to this opportunity to get down there. Starting on, we leave Wednesday, and it'll be a long trip, but it'll be exciting.
I mentioned it when I was talking to Des, just the veteran nature of this team. And again, it's something we've chatted about a little bit, but Is there ever a time where you just kind of step back and you realize, boy, that is a luxury, because that's not happening at a lot of college programs?
Yeah, it says a lot to my staff. I have a very good staff over these last several years. We've had some interchanging parts, but not for any bad reasons, but just in the nature of coaching and some other opportunities. It's a credit to the group of guys. You know, they believe in one another, not just on the court, but off the court. They count on one another. You know, Des is talking about being in each other's. You know, like you sit there, like we always do this in recruiting. You talk about being in each other's wedding. You talk about, you know, experiencing the highs and lows. And, you know, we always talk about putting family into basketball. Don't take basketball away from family and family away from basketball. And, you know, a group of, unfortunately, a few years ago, I had lost my dad, and one of his team, his best teams, was at the reception. And one of his former players got up and said, you know, Mrs. B and Coach B always put family into basketball. And it's always kind of stuck with me. And that I thought that was something that was his best team. So, you know, that's what we have to do. And these guys believe in one another. They have an opportunity to do something that they started. They see the big picture, not the quick fix. And that's probably one of the things, if not the biggest thing that I'm most proud of, is just a group of guys that have stuck together in a time that not very many people are willing to do so.
Belief is another word for, as Des put it, when Polo looked at him, gave him that take that shot look, right?
I think Polo was looking at him like, why is the ball out of my hands, and went into Dez's hands on that one. You better make the shot. That was a heck of a pass. He whipped it right around. But they did. They are the first ones to say to one another, sometimes to a fault, of, you know, good shot, take it again, shoot the next one, in a way that they want to continue to fill each other with that level of belief, and belief's a powerful tool.
Southern Indiana was a dogfight here in Edwardsville. You come out, you get that one. They also have an arena that can be really tough to play in, and I recall going there for the first time in league play last year, and it was loud, it was full. You came away with a win in that game. All of those things, what do you take? What kind of challenges is USI going to pose?
You know, yeah, I think it was like a 4-point game with a few minutes left at our place, and you know, we just really have to do a good job of it. You know, it's kind of what I've been saying, but it's also, we have to take away what they're best at. We have to make sure that we keep the ball in front. We have to make sure that we weather a storm, because that's what's going to happen on the road. There's no doubt about that. And in conference play, no matter where you're on the road or at home, and we have to be able to, you know, transfer what I hope is an exciting feeling from a win the night before, get on the bus, travel 3-4 hours, whatever it is. Everyone says you gain an hour, so like we just, that extra hour is just like we're going to
more
Back to the Future or something like that. Yeah, we can go watch more film, or go see, we can actually see if we won, if we go back in time. It'll be good. So we're going to take advantage of just that time, that, and then hopefully the feeling that we have from what I would like is a win the night before to go in and capitalize on another game on a tough opponent.
I didn't mention it, but there's the way that the Ohio Valley Conference is selecting television games the last couple of years. They're selecting, you know, the best matchups they get. SIUE is featured prominently on the road, at home. It's going to be number 2. It's going to be the second time on national TV for the Cougars, coming up on Thursday. Again, Morehead State. That was the game here in Edwardsville, but it says a lot about where this program has come, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And again, it's the Des Polks, Rayshawn Taylor, Shamar Lamar Wright, Polo Minor, Terrence Thompson. I can go through everyone. They've put our team and our university and our community in a position to be recognized on a national stage. You're going to see SIUE for a few hours on the bottom line, you know, on a national television station. People are going to be tuning in. People are going to be excited. The other day it was an 11 a.m. game. It's in that the amount of homes that was in is special. So, and it's a great opportunity for everyone else to see what we already know. This place is pretty darn cool.
You know, as we said, Morehead is going to be tough. It's a tough place to play, but you have done well there. You have been able to get a win there, and again, with a lot of guys that are going back with you.
Yeah, I mean, again, you want to draw upon that experience. You want
Sure.
guys to go in there and like, we've been there, done that. This is what was good. This is what was bad. I think they have a 16, 17 game home win streak. I think it's one of the longest in the country right now. So it's a 9 o'clock
It's a shame
game.
that it has to end on Thursday.
You know what? It's just 19 sounds good.
Yeah,
Preston
right.
does a
We'll
good
just
job.
end it right there.
Let's not get crazy.
We'll just-
here. You know, you don't want. Let's start a new one. So it'll be something that it'll be fun to be in these type of games. All right, and we're talking about these type of games. It's not our end goal by any means, but it surely was a goal a few years ago when there was never these conversations.
Right.
And it's a credit to these guys, this team, to put ourselves in a position to be in these type of games.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Headed to Kentucky this week, back home for 2 next week, and we wish you certainly the best in the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Cougars head coach Brian Baroni with us. Thanks everyone for being out here at Global Brew, our home for the SIUE Basketball Coaches Show, and as always, thanks to Urban Chestnut Brewing Company, our presenting sponsor. Thanks so much, everyone.